Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Just a Tip. My name is Chef Matt with Kitchen Instruments, and this week we're going to be discussing your knife and how to keep it sharp. In the kitchen, your knife is your best friend, so you got to treat it right. And treating it right means keeping it sharp. More accidents are caused by a dull knife than a sharp one. As you use your knife in a kitchen, when you're chopping through things like an onion, for example, you have to exert a lot more force when the knife isn't sharp, and that gives a lot more room for accidents to happen. Now, when it comes to sharpening your knife, there's two main ways to get it done. One of which is fairly common. The second of which is a little bit more technical. So for this week's episode, I'm going to focus on the first one because that's the one you're probably going to have the most common issue with. So when knife makers make a knife, they create a bevel on it. Now a bevel is where your edge is. So what happens is the two bevels get hammered into each side and it meets up at a point right along the edge here. Now the problem happens is as you use your knife and you're making contact with that cutting board or into bone or other surfaces, the edge on this starts to create little waves along the blade, making it a lot less sharp. So to fix that, we have this bad boy, and this is called a honing steel. Now the way the honing steel works is as you take the steel and you take the knife, you slide the bevel up the base of the steel, and what that's going to do is it's going to re-straighten all these little waves that you've created in your blade, giving you a true edge again. Now this honing steel is probably what 90% of you guys have in your home. And if you don't, you should definitely spend the $6 to $10 to pick one up because it will save you and your knives. Now the biggest thing about learning how to do something like this is learning how to get the correct angle. If you don't have the correct angle, your edge is going to actually be off and your knife won't be sharp. You've seen a lot of people use these things in a few different ways. You can come down like this, you can go up like this, and the way they teach you in culinary schools is to come down like this. Now, I have a completely different method. Now my method actually combines two of those, and I learned this from a great butcher slash chef. So the technique I'm going to show you is to slide the knife up the steel first and then down the steel. Now why do that, you ask? Well, sliding the knife up the steel actually helps in uncurling the blade. When you've used your knife sometimes, the damage and the waves that were created in the edge were so extreme that it actually will fold that steel over a little bit. So sliding the knife up the steel will actually kind of unfold those blades for you. And then as you slide the knife down the steel, it recreates that true edge for you, giving you a sharp knife again. So what you want to do is get a good grip on your steel, thumb behind the guard, get your knife, thumb behind the tip here, and place it flat like that. Now that you have the knife like this, what you want to do is you want to give it a little bit of a flick motion as you come up, and you want to make sure you go from the base of the knife to the tip of the knife, covering each edge evenly. It's very important. Start here and you flick here, just like that. Now from the bottom it's the same thing. Hold the steel, knife on the bottom, and you want to go base to tip again. So you're going to go and flick up. You're going to flick up. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to. Don't get frustrated. It's tricky, but you got to get the angles right. That's important. Okay, now we've actually uncurled the blade. Now it's time to get the blade back to true. So on the downward stroke, you want to maintain about a 20-degree angle from the knife to the steel. And then we come down. Base to tip. Base to tip, base to tip, base to tip. You just want to work on keeping that 20-degree angle. And then as you get used to it, you can go a little bit faster. Just make sure you always keep your thumb behind the guard because you don't want this knife coming down, taking that thumb off. See, honing only take you so far. After a while, the edge on this is just going to start to wear down, and you actually have to either take it to a grinding wheel or use a sharpening stone to reestablish a bevel. And I'll go over how to do that in another tutorial. So if you enjoyed this week's episode, please feel free to hit that like button and subscribe. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section down below. And if you just enjoyed this video and think your friends would find it useful, please share it as it helps the channel grow immensely. My name is Chef Matt with Kitchen Instruments, and you just got the tip.